You have to be fluent in Fox News to understand what this says.
Like, this does not look like an ad.
Welcome to another episode of Campaign Experts React, where we break down 2020 election ads in political media, explain what the people behind them are trying to accomplish, and decide whether or not they did a good job. I'm Jon Pfeiffer, former communications director for Barack Obama. Joining me today is Tanya, Somanader, the director of digital rapid response in the Obama White House and the chief content officer of Crooked Media.
Oh my God, so excited. I can't wait to smash a button.
Your entire career in politics has been on the digital front lines. And when you see a piece of content, whether it's from a campaign, from a politician, what is the perspective you bring to analyze that piece of content?
I think anybody who's coming out of the digital world, like, the first question they'll ever ask is, who is this for? Traditional media is often like broadcast based on a network, just streaming out to audience, and whoever happens to catch it is catching it. That's not how the internet works. They congregate in communities around content they like, on platforms they like, and each different place has different identities, different people, different ways they consume content. So when you're putting something out in the internet, it can be more targeted. It can be geared towards a very specific audience. And in politics, that is both an extremely important thing to consider and something that people in politics consistently miss.
All right, let's watch some ads. The first video we're going to watch is part of a user-generated content campaign from a group called Republican Voters Against Trump, which seems relatively self-explanatory.
Hey guys, my name's Joey, and in 2017 I retired after 30 years in the Navy, and regrettably I voted for Donald Trump. But today, he scares the fuck out of me, man. He is tearing this country apart, and if we don't see that, we are ignorant and blind. We need to change who we got in the office, and you need to get out there and you need to register to vote, because this can't go on. What's going on in places like Portland? I watched another vet get beat the fuck by American police forces. I don't know what that fucking is, man, but that ain't right. That man is not right in the head, and he's got to go, because he has taken us to a place this country is not supposed to be. This is not the way that we envision this country. Do not let all those who have gone and died on battlefields for our democracy go in vain because of what he's doing to this country. Don't let that happen, please. I'm begging you, man.
All right, Tanya, what do you think of that ad?
I love this ad. Like, this does not look like an ad. This looks like something if you were scrolling in your feed, or whether it's Facebook, and I'm guessing like the targeted audience for this, like, who's this for, is, people who have an affinity for the military, who might have a similar background to him, who are in suburbs, people who like considered voting for Trump again, that suburban area, older people who are like really like have a traditionalist sense of the American historic narrative. This is for them. So number one, I didn't see it ever. That's how I know that this is probably an incredibly effective ad, because it never came across my timeline. This ad is not for me. I know you share this gripe, but this is my gripe with the Lincoln Project, where it's like, it's kind of the opposite. It's like the people who are seeing it are the people who don't need to see it, and we are the audience for that stuff. But for this is clearly targeted towards people who need a permission structure to either change their mind or see somebody that they relate to deciding not to vote for Donald Trump and to vote for somebody else, and in an emotional way say why, and share this content as proof that you are not the only one who feels this way, and that somebody that everybody respects in your community is out there saying this for you. He just recorded it on his phone. It was a very human, authentic, very of the now, for the audience that it's for. Like, it hits all of the buckets. Who's this for, and how do I get it to them? And what's the content that they're consuming right now? Boom, boom, boom. Hits all three of those. And I thought it was really good. What'd you think?
It is a very interesting way to have the conversation about not the Lincoln Project specifically, but the idea that the best ads are slickly produced. I think it's the opposite, right? Like, I believe the future of political advertising looks much more like this ad than anything the Lincoln Project or the Trump or Biden campaigns have done. I think it is going to be authentic voices delivering messages in very lightly, if produced at all, sort of ways. In a world in which people are Zooming and FaceTiming with their family, not just COVID, just in life generally, like this is how people communicate. And very few things have changed less over the last 40 years than political advertising. One of the challenges that we've had in sort of quote unquote digital advertising, or advertising that's done for people's phones and computers, is it's being done by people who make ads for TV. So they're just taking a 60-second television ad and shrinking it to 30 or 15 seconds for digital. And it's not native to that platform. It's not in the language of the people who are communicating it.
From marketing to politics, it's like when you're communicating with a specific audience or a specific community, you have to use the language and use the identity structures that exist in those communities to be effective. And if you aren't doing that, then they smell bullshit. If you can't tell it's an ad, you're already winning because their guards aren't up.
The second thing I think about this ad that is incredibly smart, and it's also part of the future of political advertising, is it really understands the psychology of voters now. When we talk about polarization, we often think about Republicans and Democrats fighting with each other, but the way to think about it is identity. There's a lot of political science that shows that people's most important identity is what political party they belong to, whether they see themselves as a Republican or a Democrat. So in order to get someone to cross that line, and it is a very hard line to cross, you need to feel that people of your group are with you. And so just having someone who identifies as a Republican, identifies with Republican stances, and then uses that as an argument against Trump is the way in which you're going to get voters. Like the reason so many people went to Gary Johnson or didn't vote in 2016 is because they believe that Trump was the wrong choice, but could not cross the Rubicon to get to a Democrat. And so this is like, you use the term permission structure, and this is how you give people permission structure in a time of highly polarized identity politics. The next video we're going to watch is a parody of the classic Brad Pitt film, Troy, from the Trump campaign.
Let's talk about it, Dan.
I got to hear what you have to say about this.
Trolling. They're going for fun, and like they're not necessarily trying to persuade anybody. This is for Trump supporters to just like really like enjoy this. But the thing about trolling and the thing about being like kind of successful in it is you actually have to troll somebody about something that's like a vulnerability that people are going to be like, ooh, tough hit. This is trying to land the message that somehow Joe Biden is like bringing all these leftists with him unknowingly or knowingly. People don't believe this about Joe Biden. There's some familiarity with him. This is the whole danger for Donald Trump. To me, this is like, even people who follow you and love you are going to be like, not sure that's like the right hit. Like, I'm not sure I even believe that. But a successful troll, like a really good one, confirms something that people like kind of already think about your opponent. I worked on the 2012 campaign and made similar trolley shit of Mitt Romney. There was one moment Mitt Romney was like singing America the Beautiful, and we had the audio of it.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with...
It was a troll. We were just trolling him. But it confirmed something that people believed about Mitt Romney, which is that it's like, I'm not sure this guy is like looking out for me. And so it became a bigger deal. You know, people were like, ooh, tough hit. There are definitely trolls that like Donald Trump has done that like confirmed, like certainly in 2016 that were successful. But this one isn't one of them. I think this one is just like misses the mark. And it's like, it's also like bad Photoshop, which just like kind of annoys me.
Like the execution is terrible. The pop culture reference is incredibly dated. We wanted to include this ad for 3 reasons. One, a lot of people tweeted at us and we love our viewers. Second, one of the messages of the Trump campaign is that
Biden is a puppet of Bernie Sanders, AOC, the militant left.
You have to be fluent in Fox News to understand what this says. There is an element of Republican conservative trolling that Trump is sort of an expert at that I think a lot of liberals do not understand, which is they weaponize your anger. The more engagement that a post has, the more people that see it. Facebook broadly defines engagement as the sum total of comments, likes, shares. So every time you comment about you express your anger about this, it increases the engagement number, which means more people will see it. Now, they're not doing it to persuade. They're doing it so that more of their people will see it for free. I think that is a thing that not enough people understand about trolling as a political strategy. I think this is an example of a very poorly done version of it, but it is a part of the Republican playbook that has given them a measure of media advantage over the last couple of years. We are now at what is always the worst part of this series. So we're going to do an absurd hypothetical that my overlords are forcing me to do, which is, let's say we were going to run a digital persuasion campaign to get people to, quote, smash the subscribe button to the Crooked Media YouTube channel. If we were doing that, how would you approach that campaign?
Okay, so they're watching this. That's who it's for. It's for everybody who wants to watch you just cringe while you're forced to do something that you don't want to do.
Yes.
I don't know, man. I think we nailed on the right campaign. Say it.
Okay. Smash the subscribe button or something. Okay.
It's so painful. I love it.
The next ad we're going to watch is a Get Out the Vote spot from a group called NAIL, which is affiliated with Acronym, the Progressive Digital Startup.
Dear young people,
don't vote.
Don't vote.
Everything's fine the way it is.
Trump. That was us.
He's our guy.
Tax cuts for the rich? Hell yeah. I'm rich as fuck.
Climate change? That's a you problem. I'll be dead soon.
Sure, school shootings are sad.
But I haven't been in a school for 50 years.
I can't keep track of which lives matter.
Sure you don't like it. So, you'll like some meme on Instagram.
If the weather is nice, maybe you could go to one of those little marches.
You might even share this video on Facebook.
But you won't vote.
You young people never do.
But I do. I do.
I do.
Midterms, primaries.
Every single election.
We'll be there, but you won't.
Because we're a generation of doers.
Not whiners.
And we're doing great.
You have been raring to go on this ad. What do you got to say?
This is undoubtedly a successful ad. This was in 2018. So this was an ad for the midterms. The stats on this ad are basically like over 30 million people total views on this ad across all platforms. And they converted to registrations about 21,000 people in the 18 to 24 range. This is like a weird hat trick of an ad because the parts alone to me don't work, but the sum of it together makes a successful ad. So that really just pisses me off. You know off the bat that you're getting fed something that's like high production value and made by an agency. Like you said, your first words are dear young people. So you're already kind of working with this like, and had they not had a joke within the first 3 or 4 seconds of this ad, it would have been a complete failure. But the success of this and the reason that this works, I think, is because there was some self-awareness of it. And there was some like, we know that the script has to hit. And then they piss you off and you've watched this whole thing and you want to do something with that energy. And that's exactly what they were going for. They were like going for the like, fuck you, I'm going to do exactly what you don't want me to do. I wonder if the same thing, even now, would work as it did 2 years ago.
It obviously was effective, right? So often we're just like making judgment based on our own understandings of politics and our prior experiences about whether an ad works or doesn't. Here we have, like, it did. If it registered 21,000 young people, then it is a
success.
huge success.
Hands down.
I think the point you make, I think, is very important. Is it probably doesn't work in the same way 2 years later? Not just because people will have remembered this ad, because there's certainly a lot of young people who have no knowledge this ad ever happened that you could target. I think that content has even changed in that 2 year period because of the explosion of TikTok, right? And so there's a different way that you would do that ad now that would be a little more naturally funny as opposed to sort of self-aware satire. So I think the 2020 version of that ad is would be very different.
In this election, with a pandemic and a historic social justice movement going on, this ad is going to need to speak to a deeper level about what the future is and a bridge to something different. And if you're going to get at that rebellious nature of like young people who are like, don't want to be told to participate in a system they disagree with, I think that an ad like this feels like an ad. Here's what I do know, okay? For the first time, if you put Gen Z and millennials together, their voting power like completely supersedes the older generation vote. If everybody in these younger generations vote, we win. This is gonna come down to really slim margins in 6 states. So Vote Save America launched a new campaign called Every Last Vote. You can sign up to be a poll worker, you can volunteer, you can donate to groups on the ground like Souls to the Polls or Florida Immigration Coalition, these groups that are organizing and mobilizing communities that are targeted for voter suppression. And most importantly, you can request your vote by mail ballot so you are ahead of the game and get it in time and can get it in time so it's counted and we can win. That is the game.
All right, Tanya, thank you for joining Campaign Experts React.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
Thanks for watching these ads and videos with us. If there's anything you'd like us to break down next time, let us know in the comments. See y'all soon.